Recent reports of soft tissue finds in dinosaur bones have shocked the scientific world. They have been preserved, and there are a lot of such finds. Convincing calculations of modern chemistry show that soft tissue material cannot be preserved for tens of millions of years. This indicates that the Earth is young, dinosaurs lived recently, and millions of years is fiction. The Bible clearly states that the flood occurred about 4,350 years ago, creating natural conditions for rapid burial and fossilization of objects. There are many amazing examples of fossils that pass vertically through multiple layers of sedimentary rock. Look at this 10-meter petrified tree, one of hundreds found in coal mines. If sediment layers had taken millions of years to form, the trees would have simply rotted. Obviously, this process had to be catastrophic and fast to bury the tree upright before it rotted and fell. Such standing trees are found on Earth in many places. The same applies to the prints of jellyfish, dragonflies, fish, mating turtles, or plants on stones. We see that the conditions must have been special, as they were during the flood. It did not take billions of years, no one and nothing had time to rot, everything was instantly buried under a thick layer of water that covered the whole Earth. That is why they find shells on the tops of mountains. How could they get there? Only during a flood. If you go back millions of imaginary years, all evolutionists would agree that all living things must be getting worse, slower, dumber, and smaller. But here is a problem. When cockroaches are found in the geological record, their usual length is 45 centimeters. And dragonflies have a wingspan of 127 centimeters. There are many such finds. They found the remains of a 15-meter crocodile. And it turns out that all living beings become smaller, slower, weaker, and less hardy over time. Obviously, there has been no evolution. The finds prove that people, animals, and plants were bigger and lived longer. In the open internet access, you can easily find a recently discovered hat, a teddy bear, and even a boot with a human foot inside. And all in a fossilized form. This indicates that the process of fossilization can only take decades, not even 1,000 years. Until 1841, the word dinosaur did not exist. Dinosaurs were called dragons. And, of course, they are mentioned in the Bible, which describes the history from the first day of the existence of the Earth. The word prehistoric was invented by evolutionists, and it makes no sense, since the history of the world is recorded in the Bible. Such authoritative historical figures as Job, Isaiah, King David, mention leviathans, gigantic reptiles or sea monsters. About 4,000 years ago, Job wrote, "Can you pull in Leviathan with a fishhook or tie down its tongue with a rope?" We are talking about a large land dinosaur. The prophet Isaiah said, "In that day, the Lord will punish with his sword, his fierce, great, and powerful sword, Leviathan the gliding serpent, Leviathan the coiling serpent, he will slay the monster of the sea." King David wrote, "It was you who crushed the heads of Leviathan and gave it as food to the creatures of the desert." He also mentioned the place of dragons. And in the famous 91st Psalm of David we read, "Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet." Here are the animals as the serpent and the lion mentioned next to the dragon. If the serpent and the lion are real, then surely the dragon is real as well. Throughout history, people have encountered creatures that are described as similar to dinosaurs. The naturalist Pliny the Elder in 77 AD wrote in his book Natural History, "Dragons constantly attacked elephants." In 1484, the English printer William Caxton published a book stating that in his time there were dragons in northern Italy. A very interesting historical source is the evolutionist journal Scientific American. In 1883, an article was published stating, "A small, shell-covered dinosaur was killed last year in Bolivia." More stories about living dinosaurs you can watch on our channel Saltonenko. Now we're going to tell you stories about encounters with dinosaurs today. These stories prove that belief in dinosaurs that lived millions of years ago is a religion based on fiction. But in fact, dinosaurs still exist now, and this puts an end to evolutionary tale. The giant forest of Ituri, spreading in the marshy valley of the Congo River, is equal in area to the territory of France. It is very poorly explored. Among the swamps, travelers occasionally came across vast areas where, for some reason, there are no hippos. They are being devoured by the Chapekwe, the natives patiently explained. The travelers smiled indulgently. These grins disappeared when, in our time, the famous hunter Jordan, coming out of the jungle, was shocked by a personal meeting with the Chapekwe. Jordan saw a huge, incredible creature with the head of a crocodile and the body of a hippo, covered with bone plaques. Scientists began to show the pygmies living in the area images of different animals. The pygmies easily identified the elephant, the hippopotamus. When they saw the brontosaurus, they unanimously declared that this is a creature living in the lake. According to their description, this animal is the size of 2 elephants, up to 35 meters long, with powerful short legs. Repeatedly, the existence of this huge lizard has been confirmed by hunters, zoologists, biologists of the University of Chicago who discovered huge brontosaurus footprints, and by scientists who even filmed the animal. This will not be the first time that creatures, thought to be extinct by evolutionists, have been found alive. The Latimeria is a typical example. It is an unusual fish that was once known only as a fossil and was thought to be extinct more than 60 million years ago. But in 1938, Latimeria was found alive and well in the coastal waters of Madagascar and was also recently found in stores in northern Indonesia. Here is another living dinosaur known to evolutionists. Over the past 100 years, there have been many reports from the same region of Central Africa about the discovery of another animal living in the swampy area, which the locals call Mokelmbembe, which means blocking the rivers. Mentions of it are often heard among the peoples of the Congo Basin, as well as among missionaries, biologists, fishermen, explorers, and cryptozoologists who came to this area. They all spoke of a creature between 5 and 9 meters long, with a long tail, long neck, snake-like head, and a hippopotamus-like body, which coincides with the description of small sauropod dinosaurs. Biologist Marcel-Lin Agnagna stated, "We can say with certainty that the animal we saw was Mokelmbembe, that it is alive and, moreover, is known to local residents from the Likuala region. This is an area covered with swamps, almost the size of a third of Ukraine." Summing up, we see that evolutionism is an ideology based on an atheistic worldview. What you hear most often is what you will believe. Because of godlessness, the world is filled with wars, violence, terror, grief, hunger, suffering, and torment. To live in peace, in safety, love and joy, we must use our information platforms to preach truth and faith in Jesus Christ. After all, for decades since childhood, we have been forced to believe that we are just animals. And why be surprised when people now behave like animals? Many of us watch movies about dinosaurs, but they are not scientific. People think these are facts. But these are entertainment and propaganda films. Subscribe to our channels. Here you will find a huge resource of divine truth and scientific facts from the leading scientists of the world. You will be able to know God, find salvation, and eternal life.